Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to our webinar today. Joining us is Gary Harpenow from Innovia Consulting, and Gary's going to be presenting on easily create training and so much more with ClickLearn. And before I pass it over to Gary to cover on this topic, I just want to remind you that we are recording this session, and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to either type them into the questions box and we can get them called out, or if you'd like to just raise your hand and we can go ahead and get your questions answered throughout the session, so that way Gary keeps up with it. All right, so now I'm going to pass it on over to Gary to kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie. As Angie said, my name is Gary Harpenow. I'm a customer engagement specialist with Innovia Consulting. I've been with them a little over a year. My background was 29 years in the pharmaceutical industry, working in manufacturing, distribution of finished products and active ingredients. So I come from a user perspective, not a developer's perspective. So one of the qualifiers here is I'm not an expert, and that's probably one of the nice things about ClickLearn is you don't have to have a software background, an in-depth knowledge around, different software packages to be able to operate and learn how to use ClickLearn. So you can educate and train your organization fairly easy. If I can be trained, the bar's pretty low. So that's just a quick qualifier. Today's presentation, what I'd like to share is just a few tips around working with ClickLearn on a Surface tablet. The Surface tablet is a little bit different, as I learned the hard way, just because of some of the size and features of it. So I'm going to share a little bit about that, how simple it can be to create training documents, and then how to essentially, a click of a button, have a procedure in hand. You can also, if you're an international company, I'll demonstrate how you can translate this material into another language. So you only have to create it once. You can translate it into other languages if you do have international sister sites or companies. And then lastly, one of the things that I stumbled through and learned was how to work with materials outside of Business Central. Business Central, it worked very smoothly, got things moving. When I went outside of that, there was a few things that I learned that I'd like to share today. So, simple tips for a Surface tablet. Now, these things do apply to laptops, desktops, but primarily if you're working on a Surface tablet, make sure that your screen is set to 100%. If it's not, what it does is when you do a click and it captures a picture, it'll be blown up to where you get very little shown on there. So making sure that you got it set to 100% it makes the outcome much better. Close all applications stop being used by ClickLearn. This is not essential. You don't have to do this. This just enables you to operate within ClickLearn. You don't have things hogging the computer. You don't accidentally click on a window and it pops up and records it, and then you have to go back and edit it out. So it just makes the outcome of your ClickLearn session a lot cleaner and easier to edit and quicker to get to the final outcome. Open applications in web mode. So one of the things I learned is we have a program called ConnectWise where we use that for our service organization. I have a desktop application and I haven't didn't realize it, but I could get it through the web. So there are connectors, and I'll demonstrate what connectors look like. Connecting to that connector and using the web mode again is the way to do it. One thing that they'll teach you in any training, and I put it on here because it's very frustrating if you don't, but be patient. Wait for the green triangle to appear before recording. And you'll see there is a slight lag for that green box to jump up, and if you're clicking too fast, you'll get the error message, and you have to kind of wait for it to time out and then keep continuing. So it can be frustrating. It doesn't hurt anything, but it can be very frustrating at times. How to basically capture an image with the mouse and Control-Shift keys. This wasn't intuitive, and it does give you instructions on the very beginning, as you'll see, but having it demonstrated to me actually made it a lot easier to understand, and it's not hard to do. And then lastly, on a Surface tablet, you do not have two control keys. So if you don't have two control keys on your keyboard, the way to stop the recording is to take your mouse up to the far left corner and then use the Control-Shift keys at the same time. So I can demonstrate all of these, and hopefully if you have any questions. So at this point, I'd like to stop and say, are there any questions before I jump into the demo?
No, Gary, none have come through.
Okay. So as I look at the demo, I'm going to show you how to create I'll create a training document in Business Central. It'll be a very quick and easy one, one that, you know, for a salesperson, new salesperson coming on board, I've created how ClickLearn can be used for that procedure. So how do you turn it to a procedure? What does that look like, and how do you modify it? How easy is it to translate? So I'll demonstrate how you can translate that English version into another language with a simple click of the button, and how to work with materials outside of Business Central. So I'll demonstrate SharePoint, which is out on our system outside of Business Central. We'll be able to, I'll show you the connector, how to connect to that, as you can use for other things as well. So let me jump out, and I'm going to bring up the Coronis site for Business Central. So to start ClickLearn, you launch ClickLearn. Okay, this is your screen, your studio that it looks like when you open it up. All you do is you click on New. This is where your connectors appear. So I'm going to be working in Business Central. So I'm going to double click on that. It's going to ask me what language do you want to create it in. I always start with English, my native language. Okay. It's going to come up with, so if you've got dual monitors or even 3 monitors, you know, it's going to come up with one green one, and it's going to come up with the other ones in red. And it's going to give you a warning that the only recording is going to be on the green screen. So if you've got multiple things, you got to make sure you're pulling them up on the green screen, or it will not record. Okay. The second thing here is around that mouse. So hovering over a document or a picture, and then using the Control-Shift key will take a picture of that and actually put it into your training document as well as your recording. And the last one is really around if you don't have the 2 control keys, using that left-hand corner, take it up to the left, and then use Control-Shift to stop the recording. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to hit yes. All right, so here I'm going to demonstrate. So a lot of times our salespeople get questions from a customer about an invoice and say, you know, I don't understand this invoice. Well, the first thing I do is you need to pull up that invoice and actually take a look at it. So this is a quick and easy. I'm going to basically, so if you look up here, you see that green box where my mouse is at? Okay, so if you go up there real quick and click, that green box isn't there, you click, you'll get an error message. So you go up there, wait for the green box, click it, all right? It's going to pull up a customer card. And then you go to the next step and say, okay, what customer was it? Well, it was Helen Ray with Trey Research. I'm going to get the green box. I'm going to click on that customer number. It's going to bring it up. Make sure you're not clicking anywhere else. You can scroll down I want to look at any outstanding or overdue items, waiting for that green box to appear. There it is. And then you click on it. Okay, it's going to open it up. You look for the invoice that's in question. I'm going to take the one on 224-02181. Wait for the green box, click. Here I want to see, so I want to see the actual invoice. So I'm going to click on Actions. I'm going to hit Print. And then I'm going to say Preview. Okay, so now it's going to bring up the PDF version of that invoice. This is where you hover the mouse over the thing. When it turns green, take your Control Shift, and it basically takes a quick picture of it. Okay. At this point, I'm going to stop and say that kind of walks you through how you can quickly put together a training document for a new employee to basically be able to go in, pull up an invoice. You can store these recordings out there. So let me go back to my ClickLearn. Actually, I'm going to go to the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to use my Control Shift and end my recording. Okay, it immediately comes up and wants you to save it. I'm going to put in webinar 1. Okay, I'm going to hit save. And you'll see it appear here inside your files under Microsoft Dynamics BC. At this point, with it highlighted, you go up and you hit edit. Okay, it's going to pull up exactly what you recorded. All right, so these are all the steps that I walk through to get to that. At this point, you can edit at any one of those. So if you want to put a title on it and say, okay, I'm gonna, in a more complex example, you might want multiple chapters and subchapters. So you can create chapters. So if you click on chapter, it'll pop up and you can title it and just say invoice review. Okay, and you hit return, or hit OK, and you'll see in your description. Okay, it didn't do it. Let me try that again. Chapter. Invoice review. Okay. There it goes. So it adds it up here in your outline. It'll also add it to the document that you're editing. The other thing that you want to put, so whatever this text here, which is automatically populated for you, if you want to edit that, you just double click on the line over here in the outline, double click on it, and it will pop up a dialog box. That dialog box, you can change it to say, look up a customer by clicking on the customer tab on the ribbon. Okay, so you can put anything you want in there. The other thing you can do is on the picture side is this little icon up here where it has a picture. You can click on it and it will bring up what that picture looks like. All right, the sample that's in this outline, you can move this little green box. Unfortunately, you can't increase the size of it, but if you want the location to be different, you can move it around. Okay, you can move it somewhere else, anywhere on this screen, and hit OK, and then say OK, and it will automatically update. So you see the text that I put in is updated. You also see that this picture is now located where I put it. All right, so you can go all the way through this, edit what you want. This is one that I'll change and put in a PDF copy is now open, and you can see exactly what the customer is saying. You can print or save a copy at this time. I'm typing this in. You'll see here in a little bit when it plays it back. All right. Say OK. And it'll add that text in. All right. So at this point, you know, this is a quick and easy. Obviously, it's super short. Didn't want to make anything too complex. It's no matter how many clicks you have, it's going to record it. You can create subchapters. Once you get to this point, at this point, you want to do a file save, or you can click on this little save button up here. All right, you want to save a copy. All right, and then you want to go to File, Close. Okay, it's important to close it because at this point you want to produce. So you really, all you've got is that raw version of the steps that you recorded. So you click on the Produce button. I want to produce it in English first. Okay. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see producing with green bars. You'll want to wait. Just takes a few minutes, especially obviously the longer your recording is, the longer it will take on the producing. But what it's producing are the different versions that you can see. So it says it's finished. Okay, at this point, your document is ready to look at and actually use. So with this highlighted, you want to go up to the view. Here are all the different ways that you can view it. So let's go to the video first. All right, so it's going to bring up a video. So this would be a case where it's a self-study. So if you had a new salesperson and you wanted them to review this as part of their training, they would basically pull this up and it would walk them through it.
Invoice review.
Okay, so it's going to
look up a customer by clicking on the customer tab on the ribbon.
It's going to walk you through.
Click on the link in cell number with the value 20,000
and walk them through.
Click on the field overdue amounts $. Click on the link in cell. Click on the navigation menu item pop-up actions. Click on the navigation menu item print. Click on the button preview. A PDF copy is now open and you can see exactly what the customer is seeing.
So
you can print or save a copy at this time.
So that's why I modified what that said, because it's going to actually
Invoice review
and tell them exactly what you typed in. Okay. So if I go back to ClickLearn and I go back up to my view and say, okay, you know, I really want to put this into a procedure. So I'd like to capture this in kind of a Word format. So you go down to Word and you say, I'm going to open this thing up in Word and see what it looks like. So the Word document can be opened up and can be easily converted into a procedure. Okay, you can customize your headers to put your own company logos on it, and then a header of your choice. We have one for Inovia, and so this would be a case where it basically is a Word document that can be modified. So if you say, okay, I want a little bit more text in there to make it, you know, according to what I will call regulatory type requirements. I know some companies work a lot with the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, or USDA, they are required to document their training and then document, the procedures and things. So your procedures and training can all be in one fell swoop. Makes it extremely nice. So this document can be saved. Okay. So I'm not going to save it. I'm going to close it out. I'm going to go back here and say, I've got a sister plant over in Germany. So I want to create a procedure that is, back up. Let me back it up. So let's do one other thing first. So I want to view it. So if I want to have a leader-led training course, let's jump to PowerPoint. Okay, you can open it up in PowerPoint and it automatically creates your slides. Again, you can create your own templates with your company logos and whatever you want on it, but it will walk you down through a leader-led course as well. All right. So not only did you create training for an individual training plan, but you can do a leader-led for a seminar. You can do procedures through a Word document, and it's all done through one recording. Let me jump back to here. Let's go back to the example where I want to put this in a different language. So if I go to produce, all right, and I have a sister company over in Germany, and I want this procedure for over there. I'm going to click on produce. Let's take a little bit longer in German. Okay, so it says it's finished. At this point, I can go up, I can hit view, I can go to video, and now it gives me two options. Okay, and I'm going to listen to it in German now.
Invoice review. Look up a customer by clicking on the customer tab on the ribbon. Klick auf der Link in Zelle. Klick auf das Feld mit den Wert. Posting date.
Okay, so you can, and if you go to the, so if I hit back to ClickLearn, I can quickly go up here and say view Word document, okay, and say German, and you'll see that it is translating it into the German version of it. Okay, so it's fairly easy to maneuver around in it. If so, let's go back and say I want to do something outside of BC, and what does that look like? So there's a lot of other connectors here. The reason why I said use the web version, your Chrome, your web Chrome is a very popular one. So if you double click on it and you go underneath it, you'll get the green screen and the red screens. Okay. If I go to, let's just say I want to go to my SharePoint and I want to look up a vendor and record it. So at this point, I go under vendor, I wait for the green square. I click it. Things are moving slow. And it's supposed to be working. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. I look up my vendor. And I'm going to click on ClickLearn. I want to see some training. And then I want to highlight this particular document as an example. Okay, and here, hovering over it and doing the shift, control shift, we'll take a picture. At this point, you're finished. So you want to exit out, stop the recording. Call it vendor training. Okay. Hit save. And now it's going to shove it under web apps. So you'll see that when you're working inside the studio, there are different connectors that are, and then whatever recordings you have underneath those. But essentially everything else that I've already demonstrated works the same. It's just that you must know how to basically connect. So if you want to go into other applications, make sure that you know how to basically select what connector there. Okay. Let me get back to my presentation. So at this point, are there any questions that you guys have? Again, I'm not an expert, but I'll do my best to answer. Angie, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Gary. No, nobody has asked any questions yet so far, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them in the questions box, or if you would like to click on your microphone, you may go ahead and do so now. I've unmuted you. All right, Gary, I think you covered everything quite well. Nobody has any questions.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. This was an area that it was a piece of software that I saw that could be very valuable for any company out there. I think back about all the procedures in the pharmaceutical industries that we had to create and then have to create training on top of it. And it was two different departments creating the same information. I think ClickLearn gives you the opportunity to let the organization create it themselves and to also kill two birds with one stone when it comes to procedures, leader-led or individual training. It allows you to do it all in one step, and it literally is a click of a button. You can have it translated and create other versions of it. So with that, thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to working with all of you in the future.
All right, Gary, thank you again for presenting, and to everyone on our webinar today, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And we do have more webinars coming soon. This afternoon we have Notice, and they will be presenting on improve your collections with AR automation. And next Thursday we have Gino Pack from Inovia Consulting, and he will be presenting on never miss a report again. Schedule them in Business Central. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's inovia.com/events. We're always updating that, so check those out periodically to see the new events that we have. And we do have a new podcast going on. If you have not heard of it already, it's called the Inovia Conversation. And we just want to encourage you to listen to our selection that Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski have provided to us. And you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page. And that's inovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you'll be notified when those new episodes air. And Inovia Consulting is proud to be a premier sponsor of Community Summit, which is coming up October 6th to the 9th in Nashville, Tennessee. As of right now, it is in person, and we will be there. So we would like to invite you to come and see us. Summit is the annual gathering for all Microsoft Dynamics Nav and Business Central users and supporters. And this event is full of great sessions to help develop leadership skills, improve NAV VC skills, and learn how to get more from the investment our companies have made in the tool that we use to run our businesses every day. So check out our conference page, and that's inovia.com/conferences for more details and to save on your summit registration. All right, well, we thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Inovia webinar. Have a great week. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.